Hello, good evening and welcome once again to In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral. My name is Ross Brierley and we're one day down of 5 at glorious Goodwood, and it was a bit of a deja vu day, wasn't it? Lord Ridderford bolting up in the first for the third year on the bounce. Kinross winning the Lennox again, retaining the crown after his unlucky run last season, and Quickthorn being left alone up front in a staying group race to do his own thing. Without the field getting anywhere near him. It's almost as if the jockeys didn't see him at York, didn't see him at Longchamp, didn't see him at various other times. He's done exactly that. And Quickthorn absolutely bolted up in what looked a competitive Goodwood Cup. It was very competitive for second, but the winner had already gone by then. Safi Osborne riding the winner in the last as well. It's simple when you look back at it, at the results, isn't it? But tell us how you did. We are live and interactive, so make sure you like and subscribe to the stream. Last night we got an unprecedented number of likes, and I wonder why that was. So much so that Paul Keeley isn't actually on tonight's show, but he will be back tomorrow to tuck into the Marmite as we promised. But Goodwood is very much Marmite for plenty of people. And like I said, let us know how you got on today and let us know what you fancy tomorrow in that chat box. But I'm delighted to say that looking ahead to day two, in which we've got the Molecumb, of course. We've got Killian. He might not know where he's going next season on the pitch, but he might be off to stud if he wins the Molecumb nicely. And of course we've got Paddington in the Sussex. Wait stops trains, but what stops train stations? That's the question in tomorrow's big race. But absolutely thrilled to bits to actually have another human in the studio. And a human who's never been in the studio before as well. No, it's not Tom Segal. It is Coral representative John Hill. How are you doing, John?
Yeah, really good. I thought I'd keep you company. I'm off the subs bench tonight, Ross, and so I watched the show yesterday. I thought, you're on your own. Everybody's left you. I wasn't sure, if you've not put any deodorant or something, but I'm safe to say you're smelling good. I'm here with you, and looking forward to tonight's show.
Thanks, mate. I don't think that's the first time anyone's ever said that, and possibly the last. So you hear that, Tom Segal? You come into the studio, you get my natural aroma, mate.
A natural fragrance, Ross. Oh, it's tempting. It's so tempting.
Isn't it just? How are you, Tom? You well?
Yeah, very good. Very good. I enjoyed first day. I love Kinross. Didn't back him. Backed the second, but he's such a great favourite of mine. And the thing about the Quickthorn thing, I just had a good look at it. And if you chase him, you lose your race, don't you? So it's really difficult for the horse. For the one in the sort of second position, because you set yourself, and we saw what happened, is that Coltrane actually got done for second on the line, didn't he, by Emily Dickinson?
Coltrane was absolutely legless at the line as well, Tom. And like you said, it was that thing. The caught in two minds. So you're firmly on the side of the Tom Marquand genius rather than the rest of the
neither. I'm in favour of neither. Tom Marquand just did what he did, but it's really hard for the jockeys behind to. Because you give up your chance of winning if you chase him.
Yeah.
Because you become the hare, and then all the one. Emily Dickinson might have won then, and Coltrane would have probably been 5th or 6th. Do you know what I mean? So it's a really difficult job for those jockeys in behind to know when to go or if to go at all. They need to all sort of, as en masse, go with Quickthorn. It's the only way we'd have stopped that happening. And I just think it's a really tricky one. I wouldn't blame any of them really. I just think the best horse won. Simple as.
Well, fair enough. And we've. Graeme Rodway is on the show tonight as well, so good evening to you, Graeme. I mean, you've had plenty of Quickthorn opinions in the past, haven't you? He's a horse you've gone to war with in the past, and you've got some pelters for it in the past as well. But my God, he was good today.
Yeah, hi Ross. Yeah, for last year, obviously took a lot because I said that he was going to break Kyprios from the front at Longchamp, and of course he jumped off in front and ended up getting beaten about 80 lengths, and then never showed that sort of form again that he showed at York last year. And then lo and behold, today he turns up on the back of a win at York, which had been franked, hadn't it, by Isra, and he absolutely bolts up and they don't see which way he goes, almost a carbon copy of his win last year at York, finally proving that he's still capable of that form and it wasn't a fluke. So I'm looking forward to rating the race because, of course, I'll be rating it for RPR. So I got a lot of stick for giving him 120 last year, and I've only revised that down to 119 at York. I'm not sure what I'm going to give him this time because it's hard to know, as we said earlier. Was it a great ride? Was he just the best horse in the race? Were the others sleeping? I'll have to give it some thought, Ross.
Yeah, I mean it's. I mean the fractions on the telly, Graeme, were saying that that he got it absolutely spot on. If anything, it was kind of dawdling down the back straight as well. But what did you make of it, John? What did you make of today as a whole?
Yeah, listen, there was the shocks in there. There was a couple of short ones went in Kinross. We were certainly praying for Courage Mon Ami not to win because plenty of people had that double with Kinross. But it's very rare you see a horse 20 lengths clear in a Grade 1 turning for home. You have to applaud Tom Marquand, I think it's fair to say, and. Those who were on it, I think there were plenty of people. I think Maddie from the Racing Post put it up this morning in one of your shows. So, there were plenty of people out there banging on about Quick Phone each way. And
well, I mean, the first, second and third are all decent stayers on soft ground. And Courage Mon Ami had it slightly to prove under the easier conditions. And obviously, it's not the type of race he'd experienced before either. But it was pretty exciting stuff this afternoon. Hello to everyone watching at home, by the way. Dan Lenton, Daniel Valentine, Madnet 2000. It sounds like a chat room we should have been going on 25 years ago. Rob Dixon as well, Paul McCarthy, Steve Walker, and Andy Fandango as well. So there we go.
I want to be called Andy Fandango. Can I be called Andy Fandango?
It's a cracking stage name, isn't it? I really, if I take up comedy again, I'm going to go on as Andy Fandango.
Can I word of warning, Ross? Forget the comedy.
Yeah. Yeah,
the puns are shocking.
Well, I'm going to go into to aftershave production, I think, by the sounds of things. But we'll get stuck into the glorious Goodwood Day 2 in a second after this. Right, let's go. Glorious Goodwood Day 2 then. We do have the slight concern of, again, the rain, haven't we? How ground will the soft be, Graeme? It's a question I ask you many, many a time. And before we get stuck into this first race, are you going to get concerned about that, or are you just... How have you analysed the card, Graeme?
As you know, Ross, I'm not really a ground punter myself. I think that I don't think there's any doubt that the ground plays a huge part in the result. Don't get me wrong, but knowing actually how ground the soft is always the big question for me. And I think a lot of the time we don't always know how ground the soft is. I mean, today we thought it was going to be really soft. It was on the soft side, wasn't it? But it certainly wasn't. I don't think it was as heavy as Skills was saying he thought it was going to be yesterday night. And how much rain are we going to get, Ross? I'm not a weather forecaster, are you?
Not that I know of, but like I said, I'm
You're a man of many talents, aren't you?
I'm considering new career ventures tonight,
yeah.
So why not? As long as I can do it on the floating one outside the what was the
Granada Studios?
Was it?
What was his name?
Yeah, what was his name?
In Liverpool.
Yeah, what was his name?
Fred, was it? Fred the Weatherman?
Yeah, was it? Yeah, it was Fred, wasn't it? Yeah, Fred.
I don't think it ended well with him, though, did it, in the end?
No, well, fair enough.
No, I think
there's a vacancy there.
Yeah, put a line for that.
Let's go on to Glorious Goodwood Day 2 then. A mile and a half handicap for the 3-year-olds in the opener, and there's been a lot of money for Amleto, who's 9-4. Keels whispered in my ear on Friday and said, "You're right back in this at 7-1," and I didn't listen to a word he was saying. And it's 9-4 now. Westerton 11-2. Struth is 13-2. Fox Journey 7s with Tagabawa. 9-1 French Invasion. 12-1 The Goat. 14-1 Tony Montana, and bigger prices the rest. 12 of them lining up. But the money piling in, Tom, for Amleto, I reckon. Well, two reasons. One, because in theory the rain is going to absolutely bottle down at lunchtime, and of course the second winning a decent race yesterday didn't harm the form either.
No, could easily be thrown in, couldn't he? Full brother to CE of class. Arc second, Yorkshire Oaks winner, Irish Oaks winner, lots of Group 1 proper top class horse. She didn't like soft ground though. She liked fast ground, but he did win at, was it Chepstow? No, Chester on soft ground, didn't he? And as you say, the second's gone in since, so no problems with him being the top of the market. It's just a very short price now, isn't he? Considering he's only won a maiden. I know the form has been frank, but it is Goodwood at the end of the day, and it could be terrible ground. So I thought Westerton was the solid one, really. I think he will like soft ground, and he'll definitely like the step up to 1.5 miles. His pedigree is all soft ground. He ran a cracker behind Artistic Star, was it, at Nottingham in soft ground in a maiden last year. 2-year-old maiden. I just thought he got trapped on the wing, maybe the wrong wing at Newmarket last time. He ran really well to be third to Killybegs Warrior in that good race. So I just thought he was a solid one, but Amuleto could be like streaks ahead of them, couldn't he? I mean, he's raced in the 80s and he's probably going to be rated in the 100s by the end of his career. So no problem with seeing him being at the top of the market. I'm a bit worried about the Johnson trio, because everyone always looks for the Johnson runners in these races, but I thought they all had question marks by their name. French Invasion with Frankie on has got a massively soft ground pedigree, being by Le Havre, but I'm not sure where the form is, and he's never run on turf. So I thought it was between the top two. At the prices, I'd go for Westerton, but I have no problem seeing Amuleto win easy.
Okay. Yeah, there's actually 4 Johnson runners in here, Tom, and they're all front runners as well. So it should, in theory, be running to right old clip. Just to say to the chat, by the way, how ground the soft will be is an in-joke. Welcome to the club, and it's nice to have you in there. A few of us questioning our intelligence, but it is an in-joke. A funny in-joke? No, but an in-joke nonetheless. Amuleto is 9-4. Yeah, Western 11-2. Yeah, the Artistic Star maiden Graeme as well is good form. Fox Journey out of that as well, and he was wildly impressive at Newbury. But yeah, people pile into Amuleto as if he is a group horse in a handicap.
Yeah, he could be, couldn't he? No doubt about it, Ross. Yeah, it's not the first time people have questioned my intelligence, Ross, as you've got no doubt about. Anyway, I obviously I see it. You know, he could easily win, couldn't he? But like Tom, I'm always looking to take these horses on. So the one that I like was Tagabawa, who was a bit disappointing, wasn't he, at Newmarket last time? He was well fancied for that handicap in which Westerton was third or second. He finished 7th. He was a little. Well, he never really got into it, but it was a 1.25 miles, wasn't it? And all of his best form before had come over 1.5 miles. It was quite an eye-catching run off a strong gallop behind Desert Hero at Royal Ascot. I thought that was pretty good form, one of the best pieces of form in the race, and he's going to be a good price because of that disappointing run last time at Newmarket. I like William Buick as well at Goodwood. I think he rides this track better than anyone, but didn't have any luck today, did he? But I'm sure it'll change, Ross.
I mean, to be fair, the SPs of his horses today were 12s, 12s, 18s, 16s, 22s, and the only horse in single figures finished second in a Group 2. So he can only do wonderful things with the ammunition that he's provided. But yeah, Tagabawa back up in trip certainly has a chance, doesn't he? But yeah, John, a couple of things. One, you've got a price boost for us for the hour.
Yeah.
And any extra places? And what price were you Amuleto when this opened up?
He was a big price. I think it was about 8-1 when we first opened betting on this race. So, that's been all taken. But the good news is we've got a price boost on Amuleto. 9-4 right now. We're boosting out to 11-4 for the duration of this show. So up until 7 o'clock, £20 max stake. So I think that's a decent price boost to kick us off. The one I quite like is Fox Journey. You mentioned, winning at Newbury over this distance as a distance winner. It's got up £5 for that success, but I think there could be a little bit more to come from Sir Michael Stout's runner. So if I was taking on the favourite, I do think he's a solid favourite. It would be with Fox Journey.
Yeah, like I said, he was very impressive. And I thought the second had kicked and gone for home and got the race won, but Fox Journey found tons for pressure. So yeah, in theory an open race, but. And
on the places, 4 places each way on this race, so extra place there for each way backers.
Lovely stuff. Right, there we go. That's the opener at Goodwood for that 150 contest. So get involved in that price boost if you want to back Amuleto at 11-4. Second race on Goodwood's card on day 2. 16 runners, 7 furlongs, a Group 3, and a tough one. Fast Response 5-1 with Jumbly 5-1. Dream of Love is 6-1. Breege is 7-1. Matilda Picot is 9-1 with White Moonlight. Olivia Meralda is 9-1 as well. Magical Sunset 14-1. We've also got Juliet Sierra in there stepping up in trip. Sydney Arms Chelsea coming off the back of a bit of an absence. Glenn Laurel, who's been running pretty well as well. And last year's runner-up International Angel, who I thought was a huge price. Mainly Graeme. Because the inside 2 stalls have won 14 renewals in the past 23 years in this race. As we saw with Kim Ross as well. 7 furlongs at Goodwood. If you can get into a nice position, fairly prominent on that inside rail, it's not a bad thing. And International Angel ran a blinder last year from box 10. Yeah, it's 28-1 from box 2 this year. I thought she was interested.
Yeah, you've stolen my thunder there, Ross.
Oh,
you?
sorry, Rodders.
I was just about to bang on about the previous history of horses who were drawn on the inside in this race, and there you are, you've done it. But yeah, I mean, stalls 1 to 6 particularly, I think recently have got really good record from memory. Could be wrong. Got a lot to find. I am right, am I? Yeah, good. International Angel. He was behind White. She was behind White Moonlight, wasn't she, at Chelmsford last time? I think I might have been there. I'm usually at most Chelmsford meetings, but at this time they all sort of blur into one, Ross, at times. Anyway, I really don't like this race. I think it's very, very difficult, Ross. The draw makes it even harder because the horse that I was going to back is out in stall 13.
After all that, Rodders, after all that, you've I've stolen your thunder, and then you've set yourself up for a horse in box 13.
Yeah, I did this, didn't I? On Saturday, sort of had all these great stats about horses drawn high, and then backed the horse in stall 1, and then all the high horses won. But anyway, yeah, I've been a bit thrown. I was going to take a chance on this thing trained by G. Escarista de la Segui. Spanish.
Perfect.
Horse.
That was exceptional. That was really exceptional. Who knew you were? Who knew you were Iberian?
Well, there's another one. It's a Jan Barbro's got one in this. I think it's Jan, isn't it? Anyway, yeah. I was going to take a chance on Samedi Rin. I mean, the French won it a few times, didn't they? 3 times in a row at some point years ago. And I just thought that it's a wide open race. Samedi Rin's got form on soft ground. It's got quite a good strike rate. How can she be 50 to 1 in a wide open race? That was what I was looking at. And then I saw the draw and it was 13. So that just made her go from 33 to 150 to 1. She's probably going to be 66s. Don't get me wrong, I'll probably have a fiver each way on her for an interest, Ross. But apart from that, I really don't like the race as the way it makes up, and won't be betting in it.
Okay, Samedi Rin then for G. Ariscarete Elefegui, I assume. There you go.
I didn't know you were Iberian, Ross.
I mean, I've asked my dad somewhere. I've said, look, there's no way that I tan this easily without some European influence, but he refuses to do his family tree, so I don't know what's going on there. But Tom Segal, what did you make of the Oak Tree Stakes? Fast response 9-2, Jumbly 5-1, Dreamer Love 6s. Fillies and mares races of this nature are tough because you've got the clash of the age groups, horses stepping up from listed company, horses who flopped in Group 1 company. What was on your shortlist?
Firstly, Samedi Rin is not a no-hoper. She's Spanish, but she's not French. She's from Spain, but she had good form in Meydan. She was not far behind White Moonlight in one of those mile and listed races out there. So I definitely had a look at her. I wouldn't put anyone off backing her. I think she liked soft ground too. But I ended up on Fast Response and your one, International Angel, Ross, at big prices. Sorry, I think I might have, I'm not very good at Goodwood, so I might have boxed you there. But I'm not a draw man, so when I first looked at it, I didn't know they were track 1 and 2, but they are track 1 and 2. I just thought Fast Response ran a cracking race of up to 7 furlongs last time. The more range she gets, the better. She'll definitely stay the trip. She's probably a Group 1 class filly on very soft ground. So if she gets that, she's got a really good chance. And International, Angel was just second in the race last year, and she should have won. She went for home about a furlong too soon, probably, and she got caught on the line. She didn't run brilliantly at Chelmsford, as Rod has pointed out, but she actually ran, I think RPR say £9 or £10 better than she did in the race last year. She got track wide, came around the outside, wasn't beaten very far.
I think it was a much better race this year as well. I mean, White Moonlight, Queen Amanatu, Heredia, they were horses who had been running in Group 3s and Group 2s. So I think she on the face of it was beaten further, but actually was just running against better horses.
Yeah, absolutely. But she ran really well. She looked as though she was coming back to form. Don't know if she'll handle very soft ground. She should do. She's by Dark Angel out of Verglas mare, so that is soft ground pedigree there for you. So if she handles it, I think she'll go well. But as Rod has said, there's loads you could make a case for. Jumbly, she was really impressive on soft ground. As a 2-year-old, Dream of Love was a massive eye catcher in Meydan when she nearly beat Morge, the Guineas winner. Brige, she's run well on soft ground. There's loads you can make a case for. As Rod has said, it's a really hard race. If the ground goes really bad, I think Fast Response has got a massive chance. If it's not too bad, I think it's wide open, and therefore I'd throw a few quid at International Angel as well, just on last season's form, but it's wide open.
Okay, cheers, Tom. John, what did you make of this? Yeah, it's one of those races that some people look at and have a heart attack, I think.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I thought you were Yorkshire born and bred, but the way you gave that Spanish pronunciation there, very impressive.
I was, but, like I said, great-granddad, I don't know.
And just on Samadhi, and I spoke to Jim Crowley this morning, he thinks that she's massively overpriced, so going in there with what Graeme said, he seems to think that she'll have a decent chance in the race. We've got a price boost of some sort here. Ryan Moore to ride 2 or more runners on the card on day 2. That was 11-8. We're pushing out to 7-4. Obviously, we'll come on to Paddington later, but if you fancy Jumbly here, that's the link there. Dream of Love was the one that I came down on. That form behind Marge at Maidan. Didn't get a run in the Sandringham last time, completely boxed in there. So you put a line through that race. Third in the German 1,000 Guineas. So I think he's going to have a big chance. She's going to have a big chance here. Dream of Love, but it's a competitive 9-2. You pay your money, you take your choice here, don't you? In this sort of race, with 4 places instead of 3, so an extra place there. And I won't put you off backing absolutely anything in this field, Ross.
Yeah, and the thing is that I thought that Sandringham race, the Sandringham Stakes, was fairly poor form in a sense. But in a sense that a lot of the horses who were in the right place at the right time dominated the finish.
Yeah.
So when you go down the field and look at the horses who franked the form, Clownmacon was 25th, that won a listed race next time out. Jacquier was 20th, that won in group company. Schwazaya was 16th, that won today as well. So it's actually the horses who seemed to disappoint and didn't get a run and things didn't go to plan that might be worth following. So wide open then. So you're with Dream of Love?
Dream of Love for me, yeah.
Okay. Tom?
Yeah, if it rains very hard, fast response. If it doesn't, anything can win, but I'll have a few quid on International Angel.
Okay, yeah, I've had a little each way tickle on International Angel as well. What about you, Rodders?
Yeah, I liked Samedi Riem for G.
He's trying again. He's trying again.
Yeah, that's who I like.
Persistent,
Each way.
Rodders. That's what I like about you. If at first you don't succeed, but
I'll get it right before the end of this show, Ross. Maybe I'll nap it. Can I nap it just so I can say it again?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's your prerogative. I can say Spanish better than I can say English, apparently. Okay, wide open. What have the chat got to say about that race? Shout out to Hugh, by the way, who gave 33-1 winner Ancient Rome on today's show, and I'm absolutely not saying that because he's been very complimentary about me in the chat. Racing Post give him a pay rise ASAP. Great. Well, we're going to ask tomorrow, aren't we, Tom?
Well, you get paid for this anyway, Ross. What are you moaning about?
Fair enough. Olivia Moralda for Tom Leach and Stevens 99, and for Rob Dixon as well. Plenty of opinions. French Invasion slightly interesting as well. So let's move on then to the 3 o'clock at Goodwood, otherwise known as the Molecumb Stakes. 8 of them run here for this Group 3 contest for the juveniles over 5 furlongs, and Killian coming over from Paris is 2-1 favourite for the Molecumb. Big Evs is 9-4, Bahia 6-1, Pura Sangui 8-1, Chagrin 9-1, Barnwell Boy 9-1, Hackman 20-1. Marcacol is the 33-1 outsider of the bunch. As ever, Tom Segal going to come to you for the 2-year-old race, and I guess a little bit like the vintage today. I kind of looked at the Molecumb and I kind of thought, all right, it's a pretty good renewal of this race. I've obviously got a couple of listed winners coming into this off the back of impressive successes. I was half tempted with the outsider a lot though. Marcacol, he looked a proper 5 furlong horse. He's bred to be a proper 5 furlong horse. I thought he was overpriced. So I kind of looked at the top of the market and looked at the bottom of the market and ignored the middle. What about you?
Well, I didn't look at the bottom. Well, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because I thought, I don't know. I thought the ground was an issue for all these horses. I think the thing about Goodwood is that the really top trainers don't love running their 2-year-olds there that much. You know, your Gosdens and your Charlie Applebys. They do run them later in the season, but I don't think they like running them at this early stage for some unknown reason. So therefore, we get a vintage like we got today sometimes, and we get a Molecumb like this. But you can't complain about the level of form here because you've got the Dragon Stakes winner and you've got the Windsor Castle winner. We haven't got the Norfolk Stakes winner, but we've got all the other 2 big 5 furlong winners here, and I think they dominate really. I don't know much about Bahia. He's already been gelded, hasn't he? But Richard Hannon won the the vintage, so he's got a brilliant record with his 2-year-olds here, so he's probably in it. But I thought really deep down you're asking for them to underperform, which could happen because it could be very soft ground, and therefore one of the outsiders were to come in. But I thought the two at the top dominated. I was really impressed with Big Evs at Ascot, and he would be my choice. But if there is to be an upset, it would be Gene Hackman, actually. 20-1 shot, yes, there, because I thought he looked quite impressive at Chester on soft ground. Excuses last time, second behind Killian. That was on fast ground at Sandown. I think he might get a lot closer if the ground gets very soft. But I think it's all about Big Evs for me. I think he'll win.
Okay, Big Evs will win, but you think Hackman should be part of the conversation. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly it, Ross. Well done.
Yeah, okay. Maybe they'll go across the channel. We've got some French connections, I hear. But anyway, the Molecumb, Graeme.
Yeah, I was in this. I was sort of thinking similar to Ross, to Tom. But I thought Killian was the one. It takes a bit doing, doesn't it, to win 5 furlong race by 6 lengths. You don't see too many 5 furlong races won by that far, that's for sure. And he'd won by 4.5, I think, in his previous run at Newcastle over the same trip. So he's obviously very, very quick, isn't he? And you just don't know how ground the soft will be, do you? And whether he will go on the soft ground if it gets really, really soft. But I think, provided it's not too bad, I think he'll probably be too quick for them. The only thing that was in the back of my mind was that both of his wins have come at Newcastle and Sandown, which are more sort of galloping 5 furlong tracks, and this is a downhill speed test, isn't it? It didn't look short of speed at Sandown. It might even suit him better. I do fear Big Evs. He was very impressive, wasn't he, at Ascot? I suppose maybe because he's trained by Mick Appleby. I think he's got, a fairly low strike rate with juveniles, hasn't he? I mean, he's a great trainer, but you wouldn't have him down as a man for banging in juvenile winners. That kind of makes me think that maybe he won't repeat it, but I could be wrong. And good luck to Mick Appleby if he gets it right on the day. But I think we know that Carl Burke is pretty smart with juveniles, and I think Killian looked very good on both his last 2 starts, and will probably justify favouritism, Ross.
Yeah, Killian then 2-1. Yeah, the Dam did win a listed race on soft ground as well, so there is that in the horse's favour. And I tend to rate 2-year-old races, group races, listed races on their novice wins. And even if you take that Sandown race out, he bolted at Newcastle, and the third Blue Prince won at York by half the track at the weekend as well. So, but yeah, you're going to have the blinding early pace of Big Evs. You're going to have the late charge of Killian. What have you got for us, John?
Yeah, it's a fascinating race. We'll start first with a price boost, and it is Killian, 2-1 out to 5-2 for the next 30 minutes or so up till 7 o'clock. £20 max bet. So that'll please people who want to back Carl Burke's runner. But it's just so impressive, wasn't he, in those 2 races that you've just mentioned? The Dragon Stakes at Sandown. Question marks about will he handle the ground? We don't know, do we? But in terms of those 2 appearances, they caught the eye for me, and it's just hard to ignore him really in this race.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and like I said, Carl Burke's got plenty of juveniles, and albeit he's not really a Goodwood man, is he necessarily, Carl Burke? Tom, he sends plenty down, but he doesn't have as many winners as you'd like, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Carl had a bit of a disappointing Ascot, didn't he, as well? I mean, he has a good record at Ascot, but he didn't have a good Ascot this week. But Elite Status went and won sort of redeemed his reputation in France the other day. I wouldn't worry too much about it. He's such a top-class trainer. I wouldn't worry where he sends a horse, to be honest. If the horse is good enough, he'll win. Okay,
fair enough. The Molecumb Stakes then for that 3 o'clock. Tom Leach is swerving the 2-year-old racers, and again, if you don't have a speciality, if you don't get on with them, it is nice to just say, this isn't for me. James Get On It says Bahir was a bully on that one, but I wouldn't touch this race. Quite a few people. Although the only thing I would say, Barnwell Boy, who was very impressive here.
Yeah.
He's the kind of flyer in the moment, Tom, because we took him on at Ascot because he was such a stupid price. But if almost they've gone, wow, this horse will absolutely bolt up in a listed race, and he disappointed, and now completely written him off after 1 run. Yeah, absolutely. Time was excellent on his debut at this track. Was that 6 or was it 5? No, it was 5. Was it? It was 6, but he was out from the get-go, and it was good ground, so it was. Yeah, he showed 5 furlong pace, which is why they dropped him back, I assume. These Johnson horses are just bonkers, aren't they? You just don't know what you're going to get. I mean, the one at Ascot on Saturday looked like a complete superstar, didn't she? Sacred, whatever she's called. Sacred Angel or whatever that won the Princess of Margaret, the Group 3.
that was a big surprise, really. She hadn't shown anything like that. And sometimes they just, if they get in a rhythm out front on their own, they can look like, the best things you've ever seen. But if they get taken on and get out of their rhythm, they can finish anywhere. Yeah. Can finish last. So you don't know what you're going to get with Barnwell Boy. If it's Goodwood that sort of sparks him back to life, yeah, he's definitely got a chance.
Yeah, it's they're almost back to win later place horses, aren't they, a lot of the time? Because they like I said, if everything goes to plan, they do well. But obviously, Qatar is a bit of.
Yeah, the one thing I'd say is that it looked to me today, just watching the race, there was a bit of a headwind, and I think the forecast tomorrow is for 40-mile-an-hour winds or whatever, and it usually runs straight down the straight at Ascot, Goodwood. Get my tracks mucked up here. So if it is what the forecasters say, it will be hard for the sort of blast and shoot horses. It might be, do the Mark Cavendish and get in behind and get yourself out of the wind for a bit, and then sort of poke out later on. That seemed to be the case in that race, the mile Fillies race, didn't it, where they all came from the back. They may have gone too fast there, and I just wondered if the wind is what they say it is, just punters should be a little bit careful about going with the Johnson sort of front running types.
Okie doke. That's the Molecumb then. Moving on to the Sussex Stakes, one of the features of the week and sometimes of the entire season, and we've got to hope it will be tomorrow, albeit we have a short price favourite in the shape of Paddington at 4-9. Inspiral is 4-1, Aldari 11-1, Facteur Cheval is 16-1, Chindit 25, Charin is 40s. Obviously we had plenty of entries last week for this race, and a slightly disappointing 6-runner field turning up, but that tends to be what you get in the Sussex Stakes. But we don't have a disappointing favourite, that's for sure. Paddington, whatever you throw at him at the moment, he handles it in spades. Track should be fine, ground should be fine. He's absolutely spot on over a mile or a mile too, as we saw at Sandown last time out at Rodders. Yeah, he's 4-9. I know Emily Upjohn has let the form down, and Chaldean has let the form down to an extent, but I don't know, he's a funny one because he's clearly a cut above his generation, but then we kind of said that about Augusto down at the weekend. Look what happened to him. Albeit, I think they are very different types of horses.
Yeah, I'm not totally sold on him yet as being an absolute superstar, Ross, but he's hard to argue with his record, isn't it? He's a horse who just keeps turning up and winning races, and Group 1s to boot, good Group 1s, I don't think we're going to hold to Emily Upjohn's poor performance against him too much. He obviously disappointed for the second year in a row in that race on Saturday, and Chaldean, I think we all knew that he was an average 2,000 guineas winner, but Paddington beat him like he was an average 2,000 guineas winner at Ascot, didn't he? So he's the sort of horse that in the past I would have been just begging to take on every time he turned up, because to me he doesn't look outstanding and exceptional, and I don't see anything, I don't see a Franco about him, for example. I don't think there's anything flashy about him. But over years and years of doing this job, I've learned to realise that when these horses just win, it means an awful lot, and they usually just keep on winning. And I expect he'll win again, Ross. He's got, and Spiral's got to give him weight, hasn't she? So I know it's weight for age, and Keith Melrose, our betting editor's always telling me he's done loads of studies on weight for age, and there's nothing wrong with it. But it's still a fact she's got to give him weight. The only thing you would say, if it's really soft ground, Inspiral probably does like soft ground. Certainly, she won at Deauville, didn't she, last year on soft ground? Dam, I remember Starscope was a good horse on soft ground. So you can make a case for Inspiral beating him if it came up really sessed in. But as long as it's not bottomless, I expect Paddington will just go out and win again, and he'll probably do it in workmanlike fashion. And next time we'll be saying the same about him, as we are this time. But he'll probably win.
Yeah. If there's one horse with bottomless ground form, it is Paddington, isn't it? Heavy ground at Nace takes some getting, and
absolutely.
Like I said, he's won 3 times in soft. He's unbeaten in soft ground, in fact. He's 4-9 Paddington, and Tommy is just one of those horses who he pulls out enough necessary on the day, which he did last time out. I guess the slight upside I had for Inspiral was that I'm not entirely sure she's a straight track kind of horse. When she's been really impressive, it was on the round course at Ascot last year, and because she's a bit sluggish away sometimes, and she can find, I often find, you get the Tory kind of looking for a gap at the back, whereas at least rattling around a bend, you can settle into a bit of a rhythm, but kind of clutching at straws to get Paddington beat here, unless you've got a strong opinion?
Listen, the only thing is bottomless ground. I know you say he's won 3 on bottomless ground, but there was a handicap and a couple of Mickey Mouse races. It wasn't his form on faster ground is light years ahead of his form on soft ground, obviously. I mean, he doesn't handle it. Just means that he's probably better on fast ground, but all horses are better on fast ground, I think. In Spiral, I'm worried about her if the conditions deteriorate too much, because she was shocking in the Champions Day, wasn't she? In the QE2 that day, she was favourite. I know what you say about the straight track and everything, but she ran perfectly well in the Queen Anne. I would be worried if the ground got soft for her, even though on pedigree there's a chance she should get it. I think Aldari's quite an interesting horse because he'll love it the softer it gets. I would play him to be second to Paddington, actually. I'm not sure Chinjit will like it. Sharon's not good enough. The French horse I don't think is quite good enough either. I know Aldari's got a lot to find on the book, but I know William Haggis has always felt that he's a top class horse on soft ground, and you saw that. He improved Adayeb and a few others, Hamish, and all those sort of ones come flying out of handicaps when they get heavy ground and leave their 4 miles behind. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gave Paddington a race, but look, Paddington I think will win. Probably won't be that close.
Yeah, I mean Aldari obviously. We saw Molecumb at the weekend as well. That the Shadwell horses they're bred to improve, and they are pretty. I was going to say they're pretty hardy, but obviously like Aldari and Molecumb, they have missed quite a bit of racing. But when you get them back, you get them back. And William Haggis obviously is a master trainer, and of course this horse did chase a suicidal pace at Ascot last time out. But again, we're all trying to find reasons why Paddington will get beat. But not really very convincingly.
No, I'm in the Paddington camp, I have to say. I just think he's got better with every run this season, including that Eclipse performance, to prove himself over 10 furlongs, that extra distance, beating Emily Upjohn, who, is as good as a middle distance horse, a 12 furlong horse, is in training at the moment. So I like Paddington. Now, price boost here, if you think he's going to win by 2 lengths or more, we're pushing that out from 11 to 8 to 7 to 4. So that could be a way to play if you don't like the 4 to 9. You can get the 7 to 4 there. And I just can't find anything against it. As I say, I think he's a distance ahead of all the other 3-year-olds this season. And it'd be interesting to get Aidan O'Brien's serious view on how good he thinks he is compared to, the likes of Sir Max Basilica, those kind of horses. It would be really interesting.
I'm sure he'd underplay it, John.
I think that's fair to say.
He'd really underplay it. Right? We don't know. We're not quite sure.
And it's everybody else's credit. It'll be credited everyone else knowing Aidan O'Brien. But no, hopefully I'll see a good performance from him tomorrow, and he'll end the season as one of the best 3-year-olds we've seen for some time.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, on the chats, Paddington reminds me of Rock of Gibraltar, says Fezzy Mac. I might not be top class, but he just keep on winning. And Paddington banker of the meeting, says Aidan Kelly. Duncan Evans, Paddington probably wins, but 4 to 9 is plenty short enough. And Hugh is taking Paddington to beat Charin into second place. It's a sporting forecast. I'm hearing there's you've possibly got another price booster.
We have, yeah. The price boosts are flying. This is a double here. Killian to win the Molecumb and Paddington to win the Sussex Stakes by a length or more. So both of those horses to win by a length or more in their respective races. 5 to 1 up to 6 to 1. So I should imagine that'll be a popular double tomorrow, won't it, for many people? And just got to win by a length or more in each race, and you can pick up 6 to 1. Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a nice double for any Peruvian PSG fans, obviously. But Killian and Paddington then to both win by over 1 length, 6 to 1, out from 5 to 1 there for the Sussex Stakes. 3 more races to go over at Glorious Goodwood day 2. We've tried to get Paddington beat. This looks like a much more open race to get excited about betting-wise, that's for sure. 5 furlongs the distance for this Fillies Condition Stakes. Often quite a good race, this, but this looks one of the best renewals in recent years. Tropical Island is 11 to 4 favourite here. Flora of Bermuda is 100 to 30. Indispensable is 6 to 1. Havana is the absentee here. Juniper Berry 7 to 1. Beanham is 17 to 2. Dappling 9s. Make It Easy 12 to 1. And it is bigger prices than the rest. But even those at bigger prices, Princess Chisara looked very quick at Brighton. Ziggy's Dream. Bits and pieces of his form have worked out well, and he'll love the conditions as well. And thanks but no thanks. Ran a nice race on soft ground on debut as well. But the market's gone, Tom, for the impressive
one win to her name kind of horse in the shape of Tropical Island, but I thought there's some really solid form on offer this year in terms of the horses have been running in better races. Flora Bermuda won her side at Ascot. Juniper Berries and Beanham both ran blinders in what I thought was quite a good super sprint last week as well. Tropical Island's going to have to be pretty good to beat these.
I couldn't agree more, Ross. Yeah, I was quite surprised to see her so short. She was obviously impressive at Ripon in soft ground, and she's got a high level of ability. The time was perfectly decent, and she could easily be up to winning this. But there are horses with better form. It's as simple as that, and she's the shortest price of the lot of them. Flora of Bermuda, as you quite rightly pointed out, was first home on her side in the Queen Mary. I don't think by any stretch of the imagination she was unlucky, but she did beat all those that raced around her. Indispensable ran very well in soft ground in a listed race in Ireland, was it last week? And Dappling, I thought, ran a stormer in the super sprint. I think Relief Rally is the best 2-year-old filly I've seen so far this season, and she was second to her, so I'd give her a chance. It's just, once again, it's the question is the ground. And maybe that's why Tropical Island is the favourite, is because we know she handles the ground because it was soft up at Ripon. And that's why people are going that way. I personally wanted to take her on. I thought Dappling and Flora Bermuda had a better form, if truth be told.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we talk about the ground, but the two I thought had a standout form were Beanham and Juniper Berries, and they'll both handle the ground as well.
Yep.
Beanham's got a course and distance win to her name. Fast ground at York wouldn't have suited her at all. That Bath race that they were first and third in looked really good as well. And Juniper Berries could have beat Relief Rally if she hadn't gone off like a scalded cat at Salisbury. But it looks an open race, this, Rodders.
Yeah, I like the favourite actually. Unlike you two. I just thought she was very impressive, wasn't she, when she won at Ripon. I know it was a poor race, but did absolutely everything wrong. Not an easy track to make a winning debut at Tropical, the one that Tropical Island won at Ripon, because it's obviously up and down and humpy and bumpy, and did it well. And Richard Farley runs a lot of his good 2-year-olds at Ripon. I mean, he's got a very good strike rate there with juveniles, over 20%, and he ran the Riddler there before that one at Royal Ascot. He's had 5 winners at Goodwood in the last 5 seasons, Richard Fahey, and 2 of them were juveniles, and one was in this race last year, of course. It was a Platinum Queen. And I just think that he probably will have had this in mind for one of his better juveniles, and this might be it. Tropical Island got the soft ground form. I think it will win, and I hope that that a lot of people look at it the way that you and Tom do and want to take her on, because I think there's a good chance that it might happen, and we might get a lot bigger than the odds that are available now, Ross.
Okay, Tropical Island 11-4. Yeah, the Platinum Queen, who of course broke her maiden at Ripon as well. So if Johnny Janine was on tonight, though, he'd be saying all sorts of things about juveniles at Ripon. But Tropical Island 11-4. Again, at Havana, the non-runner. But I mean, even Make It Easy's form was frank today as well. So this race looks a good one, John. Give us a sweetener, give us an extra place or a prize boost or something.
We'll go with the places, so 4 places for each way backers. Look, the favourite's been popular already. We were 7-2 this afternoon. It's now 11-4. So plenty of people like Graeme fancy the favourite. I was on board Havana, so that one's come out. I can only imagine the ground was no good for her. She would have been seeking the hat trick. I think Indispensable would be the one I'd come down on. She was third in a listed race last time out on soft ground. Tom Marcan, the star of the show today, can he have another winner tomorrow? So that'd be the one I'd be playing. But yeah, Tropical Island, well backed, 11-4. Wouldn't be surprised if this one went off a lot shorter.
Okay, there you go. Tropical Island. Havana coming out. It's really ruined the Tropical Island, Flora Bermuda, Havana combination forecast and tricast, isn't it? It's very rare you get 3 Tropical Islands in a race. But anyway, Tom, what did you make of this Conditions Stakes? What are you backing?
I'm backing nothing, but if I was to back something, it would be Dappling. I think I just like the super sprint form this year. I normally don't like the super sprint form, but I just thought it was a really good race this year, and she beat Benham and some of the others in there pretty easily, I thought.
Okay, yeah, I like that super sprint race as well. I was going to back Juniper Berries and Beanham out of it, but I'm going to have a saver on Dappling, aren't I? Maybe that's the combination forecast. But Rodders, you're going completely the other way.
Yeah, I'm quite confident on the favourite here, Ross, Tropical Island.
Okay, there we go.
Ross, you can't nap it though, because you've got to nap the Spanish one because we want to hear the pronunciation.
That is true. You've already promised us that to look forward to. People thinking, I'm going to log off in a second, but I want to wait.
Tuned in, aren't they? I can't blame them.
With that's true. I think, right, if you're watching, by the way, do like and subscribe. But Rodders, you're on later in the week, right?
Yeah, I will be. I'll be in the studio with you on Thursday, Ross. So I look forward to seeing you.
Okay, so if we get over 200, we got over 250 likes last night, and I promised you that Keels would eat a jar of Marmite live on air, which you will do tomorrow night. I'm going to make him. And if you get over 250 tonight, I'm going to get Rodders to do at least a large portion of a preview in Spanish. So I'm gonna make sure we print out his thoughts and get him to read it out in Spanish. So over 250 likes, that's the target for tonight.
I thought you were going to say a large portion of paella. I was going to say, I'm sure he'll knock that off, no problem. But
yeah, we could do that. Yeah,
was it paella, not paella?
There you go.
That sounds good.
So yeah, I think
you'll enjoy that.
I think that sounds a lot more enjoyable. Yeah. Polish off a paella and a whole bottle of sangria by the end of the show. Back in indispensable is an absolute must, says Duncan Evans. Is that a tip or a joke? Either way, I appreciate it. Tropical Island for me, classier than these, says Rob Dixon, who also says Rodders can't speak English, let alone Spanish, which is touché, as they say in Leeds. Last two at Goodwood then on day two, glorious meeting. We've got a Fillies Handicap over just shy of 10 furlongs here, and we're back again, Rodders. Do you want to pronounce his favourite for us?
The favourite, La Mujeres.
It was better than I was expecting. Yeah,
good.
I think it's La Isla Mujeres, but 11-4 favourite. Decoration 5-1. Queen Regent 7-1. Sirona 9-1. Value added 9-1. Therapist 9s. I think Rodders might need one after this. There's the door 10s. Chips and Rice 12-1. And 14-1, and bigger the rest. But you've gone for one Spanish horse tonight, Rodders. I quite like the look of La Isla Mujeres. Rafe Beckett, Fillies Handicaps, absolutely phenomenal. This year he's won 7 of his 20 runners in Fillies only handicaps, and she looked pretty special at Salisbury. I thought she was going to be pretty hard to beat in this.
Yeah, he's got a good record with Fillies, doesn't he, Beckett? He seems to specialise in winning Fillies races, and La Isla Mujeres obviously won very well at Salisbury, wasn't it? But she has gone up, £12 or somewhere in that region.
£11, yeah.
£11, yeah. So, and it's a better race, isn't it, Ross? I mean, don't get me wrong. I get where you're coming from. Soft ground, obviously, at Salisbury, but I wanted to take her on. And the one that I like was Never Ending, who's quite a big price. John and Fady Gosden's runner. Possibly the second string on the owners, Silks, if you look at that. Kieran O'Neill riding. But quite an eye-catching run. Went at second at Newmarket on soft ground earlier in the season, and then turned up at this track on much quicker ground. And the doubt was whether she would go on the quicker ground. Did the business quite well. The seconds come out and run to a much higher RPR next time out in defeat, so I don't think the form was trash. Returned to Newmarket last time, and again took another small step forward, although well beaten into 5th or 7. I don't know, I just wonder if she's capable of taking another step forward here, Ross. Certainly back at Goodwood will suit her, and she's a big price for a top stable, and I thought she was worth a play at a big old price, Never Ending.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You can certainly put a line through a Newmarket poor run, can't you, for several horses? But Never Ending.
Well, it wasn't actually that bad. Newmarket.
I think I'm slightly biased. I said poor run because I fancied it last time, and I did back a Rodders. So I think I say poor run because
you're pocket talking, aren't you, Ross?
I am pocket talking. Yeah, but you're right. The second and the fourth have franked the form and come out and won, haven't they? Never Ending.
Yeah, well, it's been nibbled. 16's into 12-1. So many people there quite like Never Ending, like Graeme. The one I like is what I often say in a Chinese takeaway: chips and rice with my sweet and sour balls. Chips and rice. Jim Crowley on board.
That's the least Chinese order.
I know.
That's the worst. You go to
half and half chips, half rice.
Seriously? You have chips and rice?
Absolutely.
You're a skinny man, Johnny. You all right?
Well, I've lost a little bit of weight recently, I have to say, so I've not been eating much Chinese takeaway, but it would always be chips and rice, half of each. Why not?
So you go in, you get the breaded chicken balls, sweet and sour chicken with chips and rice.
Yeah. And a bit of curry sauce drizzled on top.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd say this, but can we have Dave Stevens back?
I mean,
it must be a northern thing, unless
it's not that. I just think I'd be a bit. If I walked into Johnny's takeaway, I think they'd say, "You do realise where you've come in, don't you?"
I can't be the only one, surely.
No, you can't be the only one. You're absolutely not the only one. I just think you get silently judged as you leave the takeaway. But that's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. But chips and rice, absolutely. Double carbs.
Yes.
For the 4:45 for the skinniest man on the show by some considerable distance. All right, fair enough. What did you make of this 4:45 at Goodwood? Tom, were you with the Spanish favourite or something else?
I had very much with the Spanish favourite, La Isla Mujeres. See what I did there?
Lovely.
I think she's got a massive chance. Rodders, you're harsh on Mr. Beckett there, calling him a Fillies specialist. Kinross and Westover might have words with you. I think
I called him a bit of a. He's very, very good with them.
He used to be known, didn't he? Because he won the Oaks. But I think he's one of the 2 or 3 best trainers in the country we've got now. I think he's just an absolute top class operator. Colts, Fillies, whatever. Gelding says in Kinross's case, I think that is Mujeres will win this. I thought she was really impressive at Salisbury. I think she's getting better. And I think she's the one. Queen Regent, the Roaring Lion filly trained by the Gosdens, would be my other one, but she's never run on turf, so I'd be slightly worried about her. She's got very soft.
Yeah. In the back of my mind, Tom, if this favourite doesn't turn up at Doncaster in that Fillies listed race at the last meet of the season in bottomless ground and win by half the track, I'm going to be pretty disappointed, I think. But the other one I think you mentioned, worth mentioning though, is There's the Door, who drops back to 10 furlongs soft ground for the first time as well. She's a little bit interesting. But okay, myself and Senor Segal then, La Isla Mujeres. So we're going Spanish, you're going...
Chips and rice, Chips and rice, please. Plenty of salt and vinegar, thank you very much.
What, on the rice? The vinegar on the rice as well, John? Jesus.
No, just the chips, that's absolutely
worse.
fine. I don't want to overdo it.
I think you've already overdone it, John, quite frankly.
We've got a bit of curry sauce on there, so that'll stop me from being dry.
5 pints of mild. Yeah. You're the most northern man I've ever met. That includes me dad.
I'd take that as a compliment, thank you very much.
It is a compliment, actually, yeah. It's about time we had more northerners involved in the show. Okay. Rodders, what about you?
I'm with Never Ending. Thanks, Ross.
Okay, lovely stuff. It feels like it, doesn't it? But we're almost at the end. One more race to go. Just the 7 races at Glorious Goodwood Day 2. I'm enjoying the show a lot with you in the studio, though, John. I think Keels is off, Tom. I think that's it now. I think John.
Let's have the Rochdale Cowboy. I listen to the Alan Brazil breakfast show as well. We'll have him back, although he can keep the rice and chips or whatever it was to himself.
Yeah, he is from Lancashire though, so let's cut him some
Cheers,
slack.
Tom.
Cut you some slack. 7 furlongs of distance for the last race of the Day 2 of Glorious Goodwood. Then 17 of them running, and I tell you what, if Ross Golan wins without Keels tipping it in the studio, there is going to be hell to pay. That for sure. He's going to be rubbing Marmite in his eyes, never mind eating it. But 130 David O'Mara's charge after a big run in heavy ground at Beverley last time out. Urban Sprawl back to Goodwood, where he was so impressive early on in the season. 7-1. Doc 30 comes on that form as well. 15-2. Darkness 15-2. Big fan of producer, or Sam Hart, one of our producers, is a big fan of Darkness. Love de Vega 8-1. Classic, impressive. That Novus form giving a little bit of a boost as well today. 17-2. Thunderball 10-1. 11-1 Physique, and bigger prices the rest here, Tom. Wide open stuff. But this is one of my favourite races at Goodwood in the week, because every year proper Goodwood horses come for this and absolutely dominate proceedings. The problem is there's actually quite a few of them this year. Yeah,
it's wide open, isn't it? I mean, Ross Colin, he's one of those I never get right. I don't like horses that, keep getting beaten and have dropped down the hat. I can never work out whether they've been doing it for a reason or they're just out of form or whatever. especially at short prices. I think he'll drift from that price myself. A bit like Lord Riddiford today, wasn't he? He was 3-1 at one stage, and he started at 8-1. I think we would have all been on him at 8-1, but we were, at 3-1. So, well, that's plenty short enough. But Ross Colin's a similar sort of example. He could drift out, I think, from that price. Clearly got a good chance on his best form. Likes Goodwood. Soft ground will not be a problem. But I like physique. Not many people like my physique, but I like this physique. I think he's got a good chance. It really, really ran well here 2 starts ago when he was a bit unlucky against the older horses. Went to Ascot in the Britannia, wrong side, still showed up well. Probably didn't quite get the mile. Has form on soft ground last year. I mean, the maiden he won worked out really well. And I just thought, mainly won at Newmarket, worked out exceptionally well, actually. And I just thought he was going to go well here. I think 7 furlongs, soft ground, Goodwood, perfect for him. And he gets on very well with Mohamed Tabdi, who rides him, as always. So Physique was the one for me.
Okay, Physique it is then in the 5:20. Rodders, what are you seeing us out with tomorrow at Glorious Goodwood?
One of my stronger fancies on the day tomorrow, Ross, in this one. I like Urban Sprawl. He was 3rd, wasn't he, behind Docklands at Royal Ascot in one of those straight course handicaps that all blur into one. I can never decide. Was it the Britannia or no? I don't think it was.
It was the Britannia.
Oh, it was the Britannia, was it? Yeah, he was 3rd in that, right? Over 7. He raced up with a strong pace throughout, really did well to keep on for 3rd. Then he turned up. I went to Newmarket a week later, and he turned up there. He was odds on, and he looked like a prime candidate for a bounce off the back of a really big run at Royal Ascot. And sure enough, at 10-11, he trailed home last of 6. Beating 9 lengths with the jockey. I think it was Andrew Edzin. He just letting him come home in his own time. I mean, clearly that race has come too soon for him. He's got form at Goodwood, hasn't he? Beat Yo Cowlef here earlier in the season on fast ground. He's got form on soft ground. He just looks pretty bomb-proof to me. The only worry, of course, he's drawn out in stall 8. But, with these Johnson horses, they're going to bang out and they're going to go from the front, and it'll be catch me if you can. I think 7 furlongs around Goodwood will suit him. We know that. And we know Johnson loves a winner around Goodwood. So I'm hoping that we finish off with a winner with Urban Sprawl.
Okay, Urban Sprawl then, yeah. He did look very, very good here. I'm going to follow that form though, John. Dark 30, I thought. Dropped him back sprinting last time out behind Quinault. I think the 2 that finished in front of him are group class sprinters. Executive Decision behind, that's bolted up since. But he was drawn 11 when beaten by Urban Sprawl. He's in 2 now, and hopefully Sean Levy can tuck in and be in the right place at the right time. Yeah,
Dart First 15-2, Dart First, as you mentioned then. And Graeme there just teases nicely into the final price boost here, Ross, which is Charlie Johnson to win this 5:20. He's obviously got 2 runners in the race, Urban Sprawl and Love de Vega with Frankie on board. That was 100-30. We're pushing it out to 4-1. So maybe you do fancy Urban Sprawl, but you want a bit of a saver on Love de Vega. That could be the way to go. But I'm with Graeme. Urban Sprawl for me. So impressive when he made all over this course and distance. I still think it's a workable mark of 93, and I think he could lead from pillar to post in this race.
Okay, there you go. The man from Rochdale tipping Urban Sprawl. Who'd have guessed it? Okay, we'll get the naps in just a second on day 2 of Glorious Goodwood. But first, a promo. Off to the Breeders' Cup then if you enter that competition. Or maybe all 4 of our naps will win tomorrow and we can all go to the Breeders' Cup with the proceeds. But let me not set it up too highly, shall we? But anyway, let's find out what the best bets are on day 2 of Glorious Goodwood. Starting off, I'm going to go first things first, the man in the studio. John, what's the nap? Well,
I'm going to say this one very quietly because it comes in the Whispering Angel Oak Tree Stakes. It's Dream of Love for the Godolphin team.
Lovely stuff. There we go. Tom?
Physique in the last. I quite fancy Physique in the last, Ross. I said it twice. So good I mentioned it twice.
There you go. Graeme, Rodway?
Well, I seriously considered napping Samedi Rien in the 225 for Guillermo Arizcareta Olesegui. However, I've decided to go for Tropical Island in the 410 instead, Ross.
I think that's a better idea, Rodway. But I'll take up your Spanish assist and go for La Isla Mujeres in the Fillies Handicap. So it's adios from us. Buenas noches. And see you tomorrow.